All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to About This Aging Thing. Black may not crack, but what about the other shit? And for us, shit is an acronym that stands for sex, health, interest, and truth. And today we have a special guest to talk to us about health. Today is the second Sunday of the month, and that's our subject. So I want to introduce you all to Lisa Zunzanyika. Lisa is a retired Air Force combat photojournalist. She's also an avid walker, a lover of trails, and a natural athlete. And Lisa's going to talk to us today about how it was to be so very, very active and have some things happen with her body and managing the pain and, you know, in this place in our lives right now when sometimes this happens to some of us. So she's going to share her story and hopefully we all will learn a whole lot. I know we will. Not hopefully. I know we will learn a whole lot. I'm sorry. And I'm going to give it to Lisa.
Thanks, Sabrina. Hi, everyone out there. Thank you for joining and watching us. You know, this part of life is really interesting and sometimes challenging. We go through, for me, it feels like going through so many changes like you did in puberty, but like times 10. So, as you said, you know, I had a fairly active life, 22 years in the Air Force, and then once I retired, when I first moved here, I would do 5Ks just to try to get out and meet people. So from there, I went to joining a running group, although I'm a walker, called Black Girls Run. And so from there, I was doing a lot of races. I was doing a lot of walks Monday, Wednesday, Friday mornings at 5 a.m. And so my knees have always bothered me. And so I was used to that, but what I wasn't used to was my hip bothering me. So long story short, had to get a hip replacement. Small stumble, no big deal, we get over it. Then I had to have a knee replacement. And I had rotator cuff surgery. And in all of these, each time each instance happened, I was like, oh man, okay, all right, I just gotta get through the next 8 to 12 weeks and I'll be good. And then it got to be where I was just starting over and recovering and starting over and recovering. And it became very, very challenging in terms of managing my mental health as well as my physical health, because for me, my coping mechanism, my reset button, the way that I deal with any challenges, mentally or physical, is to be active. And I have to say active instead of working out, because over the years, what I can and can't do have changed drastically. Prior to all of these physical issues going on, I like to go hard, you know, balls to the wall, you know, grind it out, push it out, do as many reps, as much weight, you know, as I can. And I can't do that anymore. And so every time something happens to me, my friends will be like, Lisa, you need to slow down. You need to take it easy. You're doing too much. And over time, what has become problematic is knowing exactly what is too much. That line between being active and hurting yourself keeps moving. And that was really frustrating, you know, from an ego perspective, because I'm like, nah, I could do this. I just got to push harder. I just got to go faster. And I can't anymore.
Right.
I can't. And shifting with that has been a big challenge for me. And so recently, I experienced a pretty bad break in my foot. I broke the first metatarsal and all the bones leading to it. And so it was such a bad break that I had to stay off of my feet, no weight bearing for 101 days. And it was very difficult, but I really, really pride myself on how I handled it, because normally when something would happen to me, you know, I'd go to my cave, lick my little wounds, and come back out into the world like, yay. And I don't know why, to this day, but when I broke it, because I was at a movie theater, and I drove myself to the emergency room. When I broke it, I'm part of a group text, which you're a part of, and I sent out a text saying, hey, this is what's going on, etc. Like, I didn't even use words like I need help or whatever. I just said, hey, you know, this is what's happening. I'll keep you posted. Also, when things happen to me, I tend to think they're funny at first. So throughout this whole thing, I'm laughing like, I cannot believe I did this. And I just bought new running shoes new orthotic inserts. I just seen the podiatrist. I just connected with my trainer. We ready to do some things. And so this happens. But the beauty of this is all of you circled around me and gave me support that I didn't know how much support I was going to need. I didn't know how impacting this was. But as someone who is, by circumstance more than anything, but prides themselves on being self-sufficient, it was a real shift because there was so much I just could not do for myself. But what's interesting in this experience is that what was most beneficial wasn't the meals that you guys provided or the chores or the tasks that you helped me with. It was you physically being there. There's something to be said about the impact of support, no matter what you're going through, whether it's a physical challenge or a life challenge, a job challenge, having that support, someone that's there or several someones that's there that says, we got you, you're gonna get through this, is really critical. And I layered that with, I have an amazing therapist. And therapy is a big buzzword right now, but we can't say enough how important it is for us. And finding the right therapist. So it may take several attempts to find one that's just the right fit for you. But mine was fantastic. And what I like about her is that she always tells me I forget who I am. And so when things kind of, like the first couple punches you can take, like, oh, all right, life, you life. And then after a while, you on the ropes, like, I don't know if I could take this anymore. And she's like, you got this. You've been through this, you've been through more, use your tools. And that's probably one of the biggest things that I'd like to leave with our audience is that you'll need some tools to help you cope with anything in life. Granted, today we're talking about health, but you want to have something in place for when your path kind of shifts. Now, for me, I will be very, very open and vulnerable and honest and say that not only did I break my foot once, 9 days after I got out of the boot, I broke it again in a different location. So, and I've just gotten out of this boot March 31st. And during this 5 months of healing that I had, I didn't handle it well. And I can say this more so in hindsight than, right in the moment. I wasn't depressed. Like if you ask me like how you feeling, my response is always I'm in good spirits. But what I did realize, and this was like a random conversation, is I'm angry. I'm angry about how much my body has changed and affected my ability to do. And, not even about like, I can't play ball anymore. Or I can't, do HIIT training anymore. I can't do 3 back-to-back aerobics classes anymore. It was, I couldn't get out of bed. I can't walk to my front door. Right. And it's I'm not gonna lie, it's hard. It's an adjustment. It's an exercise in redefining yourself. I really defined myself by being able to support myself, do what I needed to do, but helping others, right? And I'm learning that I can still do it, but I have to do it differently. So, you don't change the goal, you change the method. Right. So I cannot run anymore. I haven't been able to run since my career. So I started walking. Well, now walking has become a bit problematic at times. And so several years ago, I learned to swim. And so now I take water aerobics. So you just keep shifting the way that you go towards whatever that goal is. And then I want to say open yourself up to new things. For me, being exposed to meditation and mindfulness and really seeing the mind-body connection, right? We talk about that quite a bit. What feelings are you harboring that are manifesting themselves into some physical ailments? And it's interesting that our society treats the mind separate from the body when they're all one vessel, right? Doesn't that seem odd? Right. So we have to give time and attention to our mind, our hearts, and our souls, because all of this is one. And all of this, for me at least, is what drives me when the physical falls short or the physical stumbles. It's my mindset. It's better than that, because mindset is a really big word if you're not really in that frame of mind.
Mm-hmm.
But what I really want to say is you need a system of success, is what I call it. And so a system of success, by my definition, is things that you can do to help you move forward, whether that's in the day, whether that's in the moment,
Mm-hmm.
whether that's in long-term planning. So I set up when I'm really on my jam.
Mm-hmm.
I set up what's called GOD, and I said, "What's your God?" GOD. GOD is goal of the day. When you're managing multiple health issues, and they're chronic and they could be at times debilitating, sometimes you have to focus on what little thing can you do. There are days that my goal of the day is taking a shower,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm wiped out energy wise and I'm on the couch. But I don't feel bad about like, oh my God, I spent all day on the couch,
Mm-hmm.
because I did this one thing. And this one thing, taking a shower, means I can check that off my mental checklist. And for me, I'm a list person, so I get more done when I have a checklist to go by. But having that little thing to focus on keeps you moving forward, because otherwise it just feels like everything's falling on top of you, like being in a sinkhole and the wall of dirt is falling around you.
Mm-hmm.
So you build up these little things to keep it away from you and keep you from succumbing to all of that.
Right.
Does that make sense? I feel like I've just been talking like crazy.
No, actually, that's great. So, listening to Lisa, what it made me think about is when my mom used to say, "It's mind over matter," and a lot of people say it's mind over matter. I know my mom didn't create that, but she used to say it to us a lot, and it makes a whole lot of sense as far as her resilience goes. The reason I asked her to be on the show is because she's extremely resilient. I've never seen anybody bounce back, and bounce back some more, and always has that brilliant smile through the whole thing. And I thought that a lot of us could benefit from hearing some of her story. I know there are people at home that are depressed and that are alone and don't have the support that you might have, don't have the community. And we talked about that, like what happens to, what can we do for people who don't have that support, who can't make those phone calls and say, I need these things, and 8 people show up to do it. And there are quite a few support groups on Facebook that if you're at home, that like, this is where technology is really our friend, where you won't feel so alone. You can at least read about, talk to other people who are going through what you're going through. As much as you'd like to share, you should share. Sharing is very therapeutic. I know it's hard to trust sometimes. Find a group of 2. All you need is 2 people, you and someone else that you can trust to talk to about how you're feeling, and just never give up. Like when I watch her bounce back, it makes me really check myself when I'm complaining about, my one ankle that's sore. That bird is trying to be on the show. Apparently that bird has a lot to say. But anyway, I just hope that this is why I have Lisa on the show to talk about and for our health segment. Because I know there are people out there with these challenges that don't talk to people. And I know it's also hard to be extremely, extremely active, and then all of a sudden something happens and you can't be active anymore. I have a friend who used to be a coach. She coached many different teams, and now she's home, and she can't do a lot as far as athletics go. And I know for a while it really did a number on her psyche to not be able to be active, to not be able to run and play basketball. I am really having a hard time with not being able to jump like I used to. I used to jump rope. I'm from New York, Brooklyn. It's what we do. And I can't jump rope anymore because of my ankle. I tore a ligament in my ankle when I was taking care of my husband who was sick at the time, and I was lifting him from the bed to the wheelchair and back. And I tore a ligament that is just going to be torn for the rest of my life. It won't heal properly. So it doesn't allow me to jump like I like to jump. So that was a big wow for me that I couldn't no longer do that. But I know some people are like, that's it? That's all you got?
It's all relative.
It's all relative, right? This is my pain. My pain, your pain is your pain. My pain is my pain. This is my pain. So I'm just sharing that, and to know like the smallest of things of like that to the largest of things, like multiple things going on at the same time. We just want you to know that you're not alone, and that there are people you can talk to, and you should reach out.
It's worth it. As evolved as I have always thought I was, this situation really showed me that I still have room to grow, as we all do. But there is a joy in being open and vulnerable that I didn't expect.
Right.
And in doing so, because our sister group, our tribe, really circled the wagons around me and supported me. I ended up having experiences and conversations, one-on-one conversations and experiences that I didn't have before, because we oftentimes do things as a group. And that was an amazing benefit. One of the things that was so important for having someone come and check on me was, especially if you live alone, you can really spiral out when all that you have to think about is how you're feeling, how much pain you're in, and the things that you can't do. And I remember confiding into a friend and saying, I feel like life is passing me by, and he's like, no, it isn't. They help you, your friends, your support group will help you see things from a perspective that's more positive, more realistic, and more helpful and healing. There were times I never said oftentimes just how badly I was feeling. And you guys would just come through and just instantly, whatever was burdening me beforehand, it's no longer an issue. And when I say that, I don't mean like the pain goes away, because it doesn't. But I can shift my attention to better things. And so it's a odd it may seem like an odd thing to do, but it's a great time to explore new interests as your body allows you to. So that might be, you might be able to crochet for a little bit, or you might find that you like writing, or this is a great period of discovery. Like, I like to try to find the silver lining in whatever situation I'm in. And as I get older, I'm looking for the lesson. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? I tend to ask, what am I supposed to learn from this? And so, like I keep saying about this recent situation with my foot, is asking for help and receiving that help with grace, and not like, ooh, do you mind? I'm sorry. Please, because I would not expect you to do that. I would help you without thought, without hesitation, and I'd be a little insulted if you were all like, so why would I do that to you, right? And we tend to do that to the people who love us, and that is not what they're thinking or their expectations. So sometimes you need other people around to help you get out of your own way and get out of your own head. And so it's just incredibly important to remember that as a species, we're not meant to be solitary all the time. Right. We're societal pack kind of creatures, if you will. And so we do better when we are together. And you just pick your pack, pick your tribe. I do want to get back to talking about social media and how it at least has helped me with dealing with the chronic issues that I'm dealing with. Oftentimes you don't get as much information from your providers in terms of how do you live with this thing, right? They can tell you, take this, do that, don't do this. I ended up going to social media. I think I stumbled across it, saw one of the conditions I was dealing with, and joined a Facebook group, and was astonished by the amount of information that I found. First of all, the amount of people saying, this has happened to me, and everybody chiming in, me too. There is something, if only momentarily, kind of relieving, finding that you're not the only person dealing with something, right? Not like you want to wish bad on others, but, and then other people chiming in and saying, this is what I do, this is what helps me, has been a very huge benefit for me. And it's an
New
adjustment,
ideas.
new ideas, new approaches, and like even last night when you and I were talking, and we were talking about food and nutrition and how certain foods affect our bodies. I realized I had fallen off of routine in terms of how I was eating, and so now I'm making myself pay attention to what I'm eating and how my body's reacting, because that's the other thing I think there's a big shift getting to this stage of life is foods that never bother you now, or foods that you
used to like, you don't like anymore.
Right. Or
now you like it.
Now you like
stand it when you were
couldn't
younger.
stand cilantro. Now give me the cilantro.
Right.
And so as a kid, at least I thought like when we became adults, we would know everything and have all the answers. And now that we're here, we see no, we're still figuring it out as we go. And I wanted. When I realized that, there was a point that I was like, oh my God, I still got to keep learning.
Right.
And now I'm joyful about that, because the idea that I can be better than I was the day before is how I maintain my resilience, is how I still keep pushing and fighting, even when it gets the best of me. And also, I got a little bit of ego. I'm not going to let this beat me. I'm not going to let this take over. And that's just the bottom line to it. I got shit to do.
Right.
And so for 22 years I had a life of service and purpose, and I retired and was deciding or defining what does that look like now.
Right.
Started my business and realized, okay, I got a service and purpose. So now with what has happened, it took the wind out of my sails, because I was doing some things to really take the business to a next level. But instead of being upset about it like I was initially, now I'm really excited, because for whatever reason I needed that second dose of healing,
right?
On a metaphysical level. And so I'm even more excited and determined to live a life of service and purpose now to my clients, and my friends and my loved ones.
Right. All right. So listen, speaking of service, I was going to say that one of the things that helps me is helping other people. So if you're able-bodied, able-mind, and you're able to get out, or you can help people from home as well with just phone calls, text messages. There's some people I have on a schedule on my phone that I just reach out to every Sunday. It helps me to remember. Because everybody has life going on. It also makes them feel very special when I do it. It's most of my family members. Going out, volunteering, doing something nice for someone, anything that can take my mind off of what I'm going through, whether it be mentally, emotionally, or physically, is something I'm going to do. So I encourage you all to get up, get out, help someone else if you can. Sometimes we're not able to. But if you can, help someone else in some way. Just tell them how great they are that day, or taking them somewhere if you have a car and they don't. Anything to get your mind off yourself is always extremely helpful. Before we end the show today, I want to talk to Lisa. I want Lisa to talk to us a little bit, just for a minute, about what else she does other than being resilient, keeping us encouraged when she's down, which is incredible to watch. There's something else that Lisa has a huge talent, and I want her to share that with you before we close the show today.
Oh, wow. Okay, unexpected. Thank you.
I know.
Okay, so I am the first Black female combat photojournalist in Air Force history.
Can you say it again, slow it down. And let's toast to that one. Cheers. Let's say that again. All right, let's say it again slowly, and so that everybody in the back can hear it. People in the balcony. All right, go.
Best friend, I'm shy.
Shy.
I bear the distinction of being the first Black female combat photojournalist in Air Force history, and it is a distinction I bear with great pride. For 22 years, I served the Air Force and our nation, documenting the military in all aspects, from combat to humanitarianism to day-to-day life, and I loved my job. I loved my career. I loved what I did. I loved the impact of what I was doing and the meaningfulness behind it. And I am over the moon to say that now that I am retired, I serve the city of Atlanta, Metro Atlanta, and the surrounding cities through photography primarily, but also web design and graphic design. I have an affinity for small business owners, entrepreneurs, and artists. I like those doers, those dreamers, those passion pursuers. There's something about it that gets me geeked up, and I want to do everything I can to help them. So if you are an artist, an entrepreneur, a small business owner who needs an online presence, whether that's via website, whether that's through headshots, product shots, branding photography, please consider me, Lisa Zunzanyika of Simply Z Imagery. And that's Simply Z-E-E Imagery. I'm on all the profiles.
She's shy. All right. So thank you so much for joining About This Aging Thing today, Black Midnight Crack. But what about the other shit? My name is Sabrina. I'm your host.